Hi guys, we're going to quickly see the formula for mode in statistics. It happens to be a very difficult formula and many students have struggled to memorize that formula. My intention is not to help you memorize, but my intention is to explain you how that formula came so that you don't have to memorize. Just before that, since this is a short video, we know that a mode would essentially be a number which would fall in this. This is a table of marks and number of students, and number of students would be the frequency. Wherever the number of students is the highest, the associated marks to that would become the mode. And mode is essentially where the maximum number of students and what marks did they score. So in this case, it's 30 marks, right? And hence we call the mode as 30. So essentially guys, what I'm talking about here is the formula for mode in statistics, which is L plus something something into H. Now this is a very complex formula to remember and get confused. So let's make our life simpler and we will try to understand what is the derivation of this formula and where it comes from so that we remember it faster. I quickly move my screen and I go to a hypothetical example of marks and girls, right? And we know for sure the maximum number of girls is 12. So essentially your mode lies between 20 to 30, right? But we do not know where the mode lies, which means in the earlier example we knew that that was not a class interval and hence we could figure out the mode, but the mode is essentially what marks are these maximum number of students standing at. Now the quick catch here is, right, we know that this is a class interval. The class interval is between 20 to 30, all right, and when we say class interval we need to understand certain modalities here, right? And we are trying to find mode, and mode always lies here and not in the frequency, right? So now whether it's mean, median or mode will always lie here, not in the frequency. Always remember, the answer will not be frequency, cumulative frequency, but it will always be here because we are interested in finding out what are the average marks, what are the median marks, or what is the mode of the class, what is that marks that maximum number of students are getting. Okay, I've harped on this point a lot. Let's move ahead. Let's quickly look at this formula above and I'll explain you how it works like. If you look at L is the lower limit of the class. Now we identified 12 is the maximum number here, which means this is our model class. We understand that, right? Because this is the maximum number. Now 20 is the lower limit of the class and that is nothing but your L. 20 is the lower limit of the class. Great. Now which is the frequency which comes before 12? It is 5. And which is the frequency which comes after 12? Which is 8. 12 is, let's say we call this as F1. This we call it as F2, F0, and we call this as F2. Now you will wonder, why do I need to call it like this? Once you understand how this formula is derived, you can give any alphabet to it. I damn care about it, right? But you will get the same answer. Right now, let's stick to the standard convention given in the textbook, which is nothing but F0, F1 and F2, right? When F0 is the preceding class frequency, right? So F0 is 5, F1 is 12 and F2 is 8. Now what you essentially need to do is, you need to fit these values, but what is remaining is H. H is nothing but the difference between these extreme values of the interval, which is nothing but your height of the interval, right? Now height of the interval is equal to 10 and that is nothing but your H, right? So now we got H also as 10. Now any moron, right, would put the values here and get the answer, which means you put L as 20, F1, F2 and F0 and H and you get the answer for mode, right? But that's not my objective of telling you. That's rather every video on YouTube tells. I rather wanted to dive deeper here and say that how do you remember it? Now you essentially see 12 is the maximum number. What we need to do is to understand how it happens. Now we need to map these marks on an x-axis. So 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. And these frequency, which is the number of girls, right? And these girls on the y-axis. That's what I've done. So the max is 12. So I've taken in the interval of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12. So this will become 1, this will become 3, this will become 5 and so on, right? And I've put that on y-axis. Now what I've done is I've graphically represented the frequencies here. So 5 is here, 12 is here, 8 is here, 2 is here and 11 is here. Now you know for sure that 12 is the frequency and the class in that frequency is where your mode lies. That's where your number is, whether it is 20, 21, 22, 23 or 25, 26, whatever is the number, but your number lies between 20 to 30, right? And let us find the answer. Now the trick here is to remember how have they derived this. So you know that the answer will lie between 20 to 30. It can be anywhere, right? And it can be as good as 20 also. So I will assume that answer is somewhere here and I don't know what is the answer, right? And I will mark this as X. Okay, now for simplicity, I've just rubbed the things on the left hand side and trying to explain you, right? So if the mode is X, right? So you know that this is the mode, right? And which I've marked here. You know that this is the lower limit, which is 20, which you saw it, right? And that mode operates in an interval which is H, right? Which is very clear about it. What statistician derived is whatever is your mode minus your lower limit of the class, right? And you take the interval as a whole, right? Which is H, right? This all fall in the same line. This is your mode, which is the answer we don't know. This is the lower limit of the class, which happens to be 20. And this is your class interval, which happens to be 10, right? Or height of the interval, I would say, which is 10. What statisticians have said is this ratio will be equal to the ratio of, if you look at the frequency here, it is 12 and the frequency here is 5, right? So when you take the difference, right, and that difference will be F1 minus F0 because 12 is more than 5. So you'll always subtract the lower number from the higher number. And you look on this side, right, and this difference will be F1 minus F2, right? We are clear about it, right? Now what statisticians have said is, since we said this with its lower limit, so we are saying this with its frequency before that, which is F1 minus F0, this divided by, now we said in this case, it would be the entire interval, right, 20 to 30, which means this till mode and till here, right? So essentially we are talking about the entire value. Here we are again talking about this value plus the entire value. So we are talking about F1 minus F0 plus F1 minus F2. If you solve this formula, your answer will exactly be this mode, right? Which is mode is equal to da 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 da. Now, I would like to explain you once again, right? The logic is very clear to summarize. Your mode is here. You calculate it from the lower class limit of the class interval. So, hence you said mode minus L. On this side, you said whatever is the frequency, higher one, the preceding one is 5, right? So you subtract. So you subtracted mode and the previous class. Here you are taking frequency, higher frequency and taking the previous frequency, right? And you have subtracted. Now this divided by and this divided by, right? Now this divided by the entire class interval, which is your H. And here this divided by your entire value of this plus this, right? The way we did the class interval here, it is this plus this, which is nothing but your F1 minus F0 plus F1 minus F2. And that is the reason why we have a mode of formula like this. And hence, if you try to solve this and put H on this side, you will realize that you will exactly get this formula. Which means what we need to essentially do is You put h on this side, so it will become h on this side, and you get L on this side, and hence you will get the formula, this formula, mode is equal to da 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 da. Which clearly means, right, do you need to memorize whether it is F0, F1, F2? We give a damn about it, right? You put a value whether it is A, B or C, you will still be able to solve it happily. That's what I wanted to explain you so that you can remember the formula of the mode very well conceptually without making even a single mistake in these questions. All the best and do well.